because that's a linear process. And what happens with a linear process, if you throw a circular process to it, just chaos ensues, right? That's where you get firms who are doing CDs and they're still designing stuff and their cost variables are going like, oh, you can't tag any parametrics down. So design development is supposed to be a design that you have that you are now developing. You're not doing schematics anymore. But see, that whole process, you have to do that through the European system. You have to do that in the Chinese system. I mean, you really fight it if you don't. And that's just, I got to get from A to B. Here's all the jurisdictional things that I have to do. And that kind of circuitous design process is imbibed in that. There's a really funny story. Tom Main, Michael Rotondi left. It was the 80s. Tom Main was at the height of his fame as a paper architect, doing his piddly little, I think he had just done Cape Mantilini, his first like big project, right? It's a restaurant. He was bankrupt. He was over $1 million in debt. Just absolutely bankrupt. Barely subsisting by his income at SciArc, which was also a mess at the time. And he was just really frustrated. And Frank Gehry had just like started really building. He just in Vitry, he had just started fixing Katya, the program, and just started really kind of flowering stuff. And he says, Tom, you can't quit. Tom was ready to quit and just figure out what he's going to do next. You can't quit. He says, you're almost 50. Nothing happens till you're 50. You're going to get a project in Europe, and you'll get to do what you want to do, and it'll be enlightening. You're beating your head against the American system here. It'll be a European project, and then you'll get all the projects here you can do. Hypo happened when he was 50. He got it. He did it. He built it, and bam, the guy just took off. Same thing happened to Frank Gehry. So, and it wasn't because they don't have to have handrails and they don't think there's little kids just dying to jump off a levee, right? That's what they want to do all day long. It's because that system is a circuitous system, and it's very much the way they design, and they finally get the freedom. We do, what is it, pre-designed services, which is programming. Since when does a client give you a program worth looking at? Well, they're going to copy one that's about, they don't know anything about programming, right? We're going to do a school. The program I get from every school district copies the ones from Douglas County, because they wrote some of the first ones, and they're very good, and they have performance specs. We only use train, and we only use this, and we only use this, and the handrails will be of this kind, and the tile will only be of this way. It's formulaic, right? Educational specification, every classroom shall be 902 square feet. Every blah, blah, blah shall be, the gyms are only this big, we only use this kind of bleacher, you only do this, right? So it's just a formula. So that's supposed to be pre-designed services. Well, your program sets the entire project. And as we learned in our deal, is it an athletic center? Is it a recreation center? Is it a wellness center? Well, those are completely different programs, but they're all recreation centers, right? What you add, what you subtract, how it works. Over there, and then then we go through. No one even does concept design anymore, right? And there's schematic design, and there's design development, and there's bidding negotiation, and there's contract design. Well, unfortunately, that's a billing cycle. That's not how you design. That's a billing cycle, and what most architects do is they go, this is how we're going to design. And at the end of those things, there's 25% SD, there's 50%. We're going to bill on those cycles. That's a linear process, and we really don't, it doesn't go that cleanly, as we all know. It's not quite that good. But their system, even their system of approvals, you have multiple approvals, and you have to submit, I was amazed, they have to submit a program, square footage, right? I'm already dealing with code. Building heights is done in programming. In Romania, we were doing there were building heights, that entryways, so you're dealing with all this crappy fire code stuff, but you're dealing with old cities. You're dealing with What do your elevations look like? Are you going to match the cornices? Oh, you're Frank Gehry. You're not going to have any of that stuff. Wow. Well, let's look at that. Show me what you're going to do. I'm in programming. I have to draw this crap up. Right? You have to do everything circuitously, and it keeps going back, and it'll loop back, which is good. And you have all these chances to, here, if I submit SD drawings for some kind of approval, they're going to stamp it and send it off. If I change it, one, I won't get paid for it. Two, I may have to pay engineers to do stuff twice. Three, the client's just going to have a hissy fit. Right? I thought we had approval. There, it's completely circuitous, so it's really built into the system.
Now with that, do you normally have large teams, small teams? Do you come to better conclusions because it is a circular, or do you go back? A lot of the times I feel like when you work in groups, it's hard to say, well, we all agree on this, let's stop here, move on to the next cyclical process. So are the groups smaller, or are they bigger? And of your team, I guess, in your firm, to make these decisions.
Well, here's the other tie-in why I enjoy being over there more, or at least I like that system more. The architecture team is very small. The team who do the building are very big. You have tons of consultants, because I'm not dealing with just engineers. My engineers are tagged to vendors and manufacturers and people who, like the steel mill and the steel erector, because we're making components. We have to make the components. There's scheduling parametrics, which I get early. There's cost parametrics. So we're having to set the ideology of this, write these bloody narratives, right? What's the landscape doing? What's the steel doing? What's the steel supposed to look like? What's the character? Is it all hidden? Is my skin part of the structural piece of it? What are the ideas here? What are the cost parametrics of it? Can it be produced on time? How does that integrate with my window system, right? How does that window system work with the glazing? What kind of glazing do I do? Oh my gosh, I'm in Germany or even Romania. I have to have different glazing on the north, south, and south because the bloody sun's on this side and not on this side. Duh. East is different than west. If I have mountains on this side, they account for that. The sun doesn't hit this elevation till 9, but it's now this one. They actually work with this thing. So I have a huge team of consultants, and I get to not just work with that consultant, I get to work with maybe a fabricator. So the idea of architect, master builder, I'm back. I'm home. I'm building. The AIA says it's a service. It's a set of drawings, right? And then even our system for that, construction observation. What, are you kidding me? I'm powerless. I have no say. I really don't. And so the idea is that your drawings are supposed to be perfect so that and then you just enforce it. Look at a G Nouvel project. That guy is, one, he has no office, right? Two, he doesn't own the firm. He signs a yearly contract. I love his practice. They can't fire him because they only get projects because of him. He has a CEO and CFO, right? It's a whole different business model. And a lot of them do this. If you read G Nouvel's history, it works with how they're hired. And it worked with the way they did competitions to do major projects, and then how that released in the 90s, and then they changed their practice to change how projects were awarded. Why would you not do that? It's flexible. It's fluid, it changes, it moves, but the architects, what's the quote I keep working with you guys? Here we like to have a chronology, right? And this is a production kind of philosophy, but it's a design philosophy too. We love to see a chronology, linear. I did this, and I did this, and I did this, I did my research, and I did this, and my idea is, wax fruit, so here's your bowl of wax fruit. There, they want to see the chronology, because there is one. The chronology is where the constants are a variable. There are constants, but there are a series of variables, right? So you have to take the idea of This is the determinant, this is the determinant, this, and they're all active, they're all organic.